Welcome to 101. I'm Rick Kaplan, and my guest today is Blake Liggio, partner in Goodwin's real estate industry group. Blake, tell me a little bit about what Goodwin's real estate industry group is all about.
Sure, Rick. Thanks for having me here today. We are a global, international law firm. We have a broad real estate industry practice group practicing across the life cycle of real estate company transactions. We've also, in the past couple of years, formed a real estate technology group as a collaboration with our technology companies practice at the firm as well. And so that's been a budding focus of many of our real estate industry partners at the firm.
And I ask everyone that I interview right now that has any kind of facial hair, is this something that you started to grow during the quarantine? Or did you have it before?
Yeah, I always have a little facial hair, but the barber accessibility these days is obviously non-existent. So it's accelerated during this period.
Yeah, and mine is 50 years old, 45 years old. I haven't shaved it in a long time.
That's I like what you have going on there.
Thanks. So now we'll talk about a little your specialty is in the real estate side of the law firms group, correct?
Correct.
So how do you think this is impacting the real estate industry in general?
Yeah, it's the downturn has really disproportionately impacted, I would say, the real estate industry. And I think that's a little bit different than the effects of prior recessions because of the health aspect of it, which, as we'll likely get into here, is why technology might be so key in the rebuilding process for real estate. But it's not a situation, right, where real estate companies, once the economy rebounds, can just necessarily get right back to where they were pre-crisis. There will be some impacts of the health aspects of the onset of COVID that will continue to debilitate the real estate industry, and the market is picking up on those additional handicaps. So the industry has been hit significantly in this downturn.
And, I can see the technology it's been integrated into the real estate, because just what we're doing right now is a Zoom call. And a lot of the other attorneys I have interviewed, they're all working from home remotely. So the Zoom calling, having all their files in a digital, not having the paper files or big blocks of files sitting on their desk, all that has changed. So is there any other kind of tech that you think is going to be important to implement in this time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now I would say that we're at a little bit of a pause in the activity, although I think, there is a pipeline of what's to come from here that is, kind of simmering, in terms of activity. But absolutely, I mean, office is a prime example of one of the areas where tremendous shifts have been accelerated due to the fact that everybody's working from home. So we're on a Zoom platform now. Everything's being conducted via online means. That's very different than our business prior to this, which was done primarily in the physical space of the building, in the office, person to person, face to face. So office is a good example where there have been shifts. I mean, I think going forward, as employees start to go back to work and resume our situations that existed prior to this period, there will be safety, safety protocols, employee tracking, communications will be heightened, all sorts of technologies that will kind of ensure that the health situation in the building is enhanced going forward. So office is a great example. Hospitality is another one where things have really slowed, but you know, hospitality-based real estate companies are going to have to think about how to ensure these types of innovations going forward in order to rebound.
So this is a two-part question. How do you think a lot of companies will position themselves when the market returns? And what do you think that, you know, this is going to be like in the next 12 months? You know, you think that we're going to get back to normal business, or it's going to change somehow, I got to assume?
Yeah, I think the first part is, you know, I think that we're at sort of a ground zero level for real estate companies now, so that there's an opportunity to rebuild, you know, from the ground up. And one of the narratives that has been kind of, you know, a long-standing narrative in the real estate technology space is that, you know, some real estate companies have been resistant to adopt technologies because real estate companies have done well over time, right? You know, it's been a very solid industry, but today, you know, it's obviously taken a tremendous hit. So I think that one of the pieces that we see as an opportunity now, given that there is a need for a rebuild and some fixing, is that there's space for real estate leaders to fully immerse in technology as a means to ultimately delivering long-term value. And, you know, maybe they may not have felt that urgency in the past. So that's, you know, that's kind of from a macro level, I think one of the key aspects of the rebuild on the industry. And in terms of the part of the question about timing, I do think that it's going to take some time, you know, when the health aspect of this crisis subsides to some degree and people start to go back into the economy and back to work, you know, let's say beginning of Q2, maybe, you know, post June 30, that will be a time that I think we'll start to see the progression. Q3, Q4 of this year, I think we'll start to see some rebound in activity.
So was Goodwin prepared to have all their attorneys working from home at the, you know, when this started?
I don't think anybody knew that this was coming, obviously. I will say that our firm in particular, and I think, you know, many companies have done a great job at this, has been, I think being nimble has been the key piece of this. And being able to kind of turn on a dime and really day to day adapt with the changing environment. And so, no, we were not prepared. You know, it's just, you know, you think about crisis contingencies and scenario plannings, but this was so fast that it was hard to, you know, hard to simulate. But we've done, I think, a great job and adapted. And I think it's similar to what we're seeing other great companies do right now, is to move quickly and adapt with the changing environment.
Now, are you in New York City or Long Island, upstate? What part of New York are you in?
I'm in the Boston office. Goodwin has a New York office. Yeah, so I'm in Boston. We haven't been hit as hard, you know, by the devastation of this in Boston as you guys have in New York. But I'm, in terms of where I am day to day. Prior to this, I'm back and forth to New York frequently, just given all the industry activity there.
So you're sort of you bounce around, and that's not possible at this time, obviously.
Yeah. Exactly. No, we're not. I mean, the face-to-face aspect of what we do is just come to a complete halt.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people, you know, are sort of starving for that right now because, you know, most people have been quarantined. You know, you haven't seen other people in, I don't know, what is it, almost 2 months now, about a month and a half.
Yes, it's crazy. Absolutely. That's why this, you know, these Zoom meetings are in such high demand, obviously, because it's nice to get some personal contact.
I know. I wish I invested in them. Talk about technology.
You still can. There's probably still more upside.
Yeah, do you think there's any room? Well, I appreciate the information, Blake. If people you're working out of the Boston office, is that normally where you would be found, in the Boston office?
Yes, I sit in Boston, but as I said, we're back and forth to New York, just given all the real estate activity in New York City. In normal times, we're back and forth to New York all the time.
Okay, I appreciate the information, Blake. That's Blake Liggio, a partner in Goodwin's Real Estate Industry Group. Thank you, Blake. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you, Rick. You too.
Thank you for watching today's interview. If you'd like to be a guest, a sponsor, or even advertise in the New England Real Estate Journal, you'll find our contact information in the description box below. You can also find all our social media platforms so you can follow us, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.